I'm Buzawa, and I came here for my master's degree and then my PhD. I'm now chair in the Department of Criminal Justice for the University of Massachusetts in Lowell. That's where they have the Criminal Justice Department for the UMass system. We have about 1,100 students, and my area, I'm basically a researcher, and my area of research is on domestic violence and policing.
And how did MSU contribute to the success you have had in your life?
Oh, its degrees had eminent stature. That is what got me my jobs. Michigan State was one of the 3 places that were considered top. There were 3 PhD programs that were considered top-notch at the time. MSU was one of them. So wherever I went, they wanted to hire me.
So when you were a kid, you left MSU probably with all the excitement and trepidation that most seniors have. What would you recommend to a graduating senior about the things that they can do to be successful in the real world?
The most important thing is to try to get some experience before you graduate. You make connections. It's much harder than it used to be when there was a shortage of people to fill the jobs. Now there's too many people. And also to distinguish yourself while you're a student. Figure out something you can do that makes you stand out and makes you separate, not necessarily better than everyone else, but unique. Whether it's developing a special interest in working as a volunteer in an agency, having some special skill like speaking Arabic or some language that is in high demand, develop computer skills, but have something that makes you marketable.
That feel good? I thought that was fantastic.
Excellent.
You okay with that?
Yeah, are you okay with it?
We're very good with that, yes.
Does it sound okay?
Sounds really good.
Now the rest of the story is that when I came here, which I think you might find interesting, is they would not take women in policing. I'm the second female PhD that's come out, and they wouldn't take women. And so the Boston Police Department told me there was a quota of 15 women in their juvenile division, and Michigan State made an exception. They used to require that people had experience in law enforcement to come here, but they were being very innovative, which is basically when I make 3-minute remarks, that's going to be my point, is how innovative they've always been. Because they said, we're going to break the trend, we want to get women in law enforcement. This was when, I don't know if you know the name, Lou Radelet and Bob Trujanowicz were here, and they were being the big innovators with community policing, and they said, we got to change the old image of law enforcement, and this is what it was called, America's oldest cop shop, right? And we got to change the cop shop. So they went to a lot of effort because, you know, at the master's level there were not many women, and at the PhD level there was one other one who was in political science, but there was me.
What was it about police work that fascinated?
It wasn't police work. It was criminal justice, and it was studying the criminal justice system. But I can say that MSU was unique in that, and being innovative. So, you know, if you can use that as a selling point. You know, they were taking women before everybody else was. And then what happened, my first job was to go in Massachusetts. I went back there under the old LEAA, and I had a grant to change all the hiring standards for the state because they had the same entrance standards for police, corrections, and firefighters. And of course, that was a statewide civil service exam, and because they had to hold 120 pounds over their head, only one woman had ever passed, and half the men failed. So, because you have to show that these standards are job-related, and police officers don't typically carry 120 pounds over your head, I had a panel formed. So I took in-service police officers, had the prison build me a 120-pound dummy, and I had these police officers try to carry the dummy. But most of them dropped it because they were told to run out of a burning building, basically run with this dummy. They would drop it. When we had them do a run, some of them were throwing up out the window. And so the whole point is that if people performing the job can't do it, then you can't require it as an entrance standard. So from there I became an expert witness, and I was testifying out in San Francisco, and I was testifying around the country to departments to get women hired. And that was literally right after my master's degree and before my PhD. And I can say that was a direct result of what I learned at Michigan State, and also, you know, because that gave me the research skills to go in and be a research analyst and know what to do. And it also helped change policy. So they sort of helped me continue that trend.